Yeah, it'll be better. But now you know what's gonna happen.
Can you say take two and clap somebody?
Take two.
Thank you.
Way better. Way better.
Action.
Welcome everyone to the first episode of the Medicine Path Good News Show. I'm Aaron Schiller. I'm here with Georgia and George Bertelstein, and we have John Burke producing it on camera. John, you want to come say hello to everybody so they put your face to this whole project?
Hey, John Burke.
John Burke.
Face worth seeing.
What'd you call him? The infamous John Burke.
Yeah.
Infamous.
The fabulous.
Fabulous. I missed that one.
Different.
So welcome everyone. This is a show that we've talked about doing, but now we're moving from talking to doing, which is always a fun thing to do. And before we go further, I just thought we'd take a second to each share a little bit of an intention or why we're here and what we're up to with this show.
I'm here to have fun.
And I'm here to talk about having fun.
And I'm here to help them make sure they're talking about and actually having fun.
There you go. Thank you.
And having fun myself selfishly, because that's
Yeah.
the best, right? When we're all having fun. And then we are actually, while we're having fun, I think we're going to utilize this time to do different things, like answer questions people have guests on, to share what people are up to in the Medicine Path community, because it's just like some of the best people in the world come
Yeah,
through this place,
definitely.
right? And so it's fun to have a place to get together and talk about these things. And so you'll have opportunities to answer questions, offer questions, do all the good things. So please know this show is not just us speaking at you, but this is kind of a conversation of sorts, a discussion. Sound accurate?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's just jump right in before I keep rambling on about nothing. The first segment we're going to try to do segments on the show. The first one, I just love that you're smiling. This is the best show already. The first segment is stuff you guys hear a lot. All right, so I'm going to say a phrase, and then George and Georgia are going to kind of share either their perspective on that or actually what they tell people when they hear it. So you're free to respond however you want. This is a freedom show. So
A
there's
freedom show.
there's no set way you have to do
Is
anything.
freedom the word?
It could be. It's not though. We'll add it. All right.
Okay.
All right. Ready? So stuff George and Georgia hear a lot. The first one, I want to be more authentic.
Good one.
And you guys choose who goes first. That's beyond me.
Well, I'm just not sure I understand what being authentic means, because it sounds to me like you're assuming that you haven't been authentic. So if you weren't authentic, then who were you and how did you figure out how to do that? So it's my concern is that it sounds to me like, it's based on this kind of like understanding that I haven't been authentic. Were you insincere? Were you out of your integrity? Were you trying to lie? Were you just doing the best that you could? And as you live your life, you get more aware of more facets of yourself, and you want a place for those things to go.
Yeah, what she said. Absolutely.
It makes a lot. So what I'm hearing you say is that authentic is used as a term to really overgeneralize other things that people are wanting and feeling or saying.
Right. It's not looking at the world as a discovery process. Like we can't possibly know more about ourselves than we do in any given moment. And if we go finding it out, like, wow, it turns out I'm really sort of like myself like this, and now I'm doing like this. And it's like, you weren't authentic before. You were the best you could be before, and now there's more of you. It's like, when we talk about healing as becoming more whole, it's important, like, we're trying to shift the way we talk about the world and how we're in it, because we talk about it as if we already know everything that's up and everything, we're predicting everything, and if it's not the way we thought, then there's a problem. And really, we don't know anything, and we're walking through just trying to make it good. And as we get, so authentic sounds like a huge just judgment call against, like, well, I've been putting myself in a little bit. You didn't put yourself in a box. You just didn't know that you had like 8 million sides.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So being authentic.
I was comfortable in my box before, but now that box isn't comfortable anymore. Yay!
Yeah, and also, the way things work in our lives, it's really about the medicines really clear out a lot of illusion about what we're doing. So when you discover, oh, gee, I don't want to be doing that. I want to be doing this. It's like you create a prayer about it, which is your intention, and then you behave because of the intention rather than your automaton self, whatever your automaton self has been in the past. Like Georgia said, we hit a plateau and everybody's comfortable in their plateau, and we spend a lot of time and energy explaining to other people who we are and what we think and what kind of person we are, and then we go, oh, never mind. And so it's like the new person is no no more authentic than the old one. It was like that
That's
was
the point.
That was the best
Absolutely.
information
Good
that
luck.
you had. So once you go, oh, I see. The person I want to be does this, and you start practicing that. Then I don't know if that's more authentic. It's just a higher level of practice.
I'm going to go on a limb on that right now because you just brought that up. But it's like I do hear people saying, I'm just being really authentic in a tone of voice that for me is like, I think there's more. I think there's more. Just from the tone of voice that they're saying that they are authentic or are now more authentic. I'm thinking like, I bet you there's an even different sound to your voice that might even be maybe something you like even better. Just it's a concept. And we get so caught up in the concepts that, then we think that we're doing a thing because we have a concept about it. And it's like, none of that has anything to do with what we're doing, It's way slower than that.
It makes me want to ask, what are we doing? What are we doing?
We know it when we feel it.
Got it. All right. So, all right. Are we good with authenticity? We're done? All right. That one's good. All right. Another one. Next one. That was fun to do that. It's good.
It was good. You did well.
Was
Yeah,
it a
you
good
did it well.
toss?
Yeah.
I really
Good
committed.
wrist
I felt
intro.
committed.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. All right. Another one I've heard you talk about, which is that you hear people, is I feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty common one. I even hear that too. I feel stuck. I think I just was on the phone with a sibling, and they're like, "I just feel stuck," and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask this on the show. It's on the cards." So, all right, who wants to jump in on that? I feel stuck.
Well, I mean, it all sounds so funny out of the context that we usually hear it in. But, people will often say, I want to not feel so stuck in my life. It's like, okay, well, stop feeling stuck in your life. What's the problem? So if you're not moving forward, it's an illusion. You are moving forward. In fact, everything is changing. You can't stop anything from changing, including you. The illusion. It's an illusion that you're ever stuck or that anything's ever stuck. It's like we're always going through something, and that's what we're going through in that moment. And feelings of stuckedness lead to better prayers or better intentions about liberating
Absolutely.
oneself. It's like that's the efficacy of stuck. So feeling stuck is not a bad thing. It's just a cue. It's like, okay, I need to move forward. So we feel stuck because because we don't understand what we're supposed to be doing moving forward, and we have to make something up about that. And once we get that you don't have to make anything up, you'll be informed what forward looks like, and forward is the next thing that's in your path. So if you're going like this because you don't want to deal with whatever it is, then yeah, you could say you're stuck, I guess, but really you're just paused. Like when you pause the music on your iPhone, it's still there and it would still play. All you got to do is hit the button again. So yeah, I think stuck is I don't know how helpful it is to even address the idea that someone is stuck. It's like your movement is slowed down to the point where you feel like you're creeping or crawling, but you're definitely going to move forward. You can't stop it. So I think that's really interesting. It's a peculiar human thing that we have where it's like believing the earth is flat or not understanding that everything is moving like this all of the time. It's that we think that about ourselves, and it's not true. We're part of the movement.
Yeah, I think there's are we getting cued over here? No, okay. You're stretching?
Just John
Okay.
Burke will
Or
send
what?
us. We will get invisible cues from John. So if we flow, he's here, always with us, omnipresent.
You got 1 minute.
Oh, we got 1 minute. All right.
I wanted to
Please.
jump in real quick. That you have to work to maintain the illusion of stuck. If you're trying to, it's a lot more difficult to try and convince yourself that all the things are staying the same. And it's helpful to remember that it's a lot easier to get unstuck than that by just, calming down and taking a few breaths, and you can start to notice things and take information in, because stuck is where you have got yourself on loop, but you're generating that loop, and that loop is not that hard to find the stop button for the repeat play that you've got going on in your head. So there's a lot more good news about stuck than you'd think. It's a lot easier to get unstuck because it's totally a lot more work to stay stuck than it is to get unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to let it go and pay attention to something new and consider different angles and find some help. Ask for help getting unstuck. God can deliver that. The universe will deliver your unstuck.
All right, one more for this segment of things you hear a lot, and this last one is, I am confused.
Well, that is the most common thing that I have heard. And you know, nobody's confused. If everybody knows what they want. Just because you're not getting what you want, or you don't know how to approach getting what you want, doesn't mean that you're confused. It means you're not getting what you want. So, so I wouldn't.
That can be very confusing.
I wouldn't call that.
Really
I wouldn't call that confused.
If you
Yeah.
expect to always get what you want, not getting what you want is definitely confusing.
Well, if we're not getting what we want, I mean, we have a cultural paradigm for some people that they're not getting what they want because they have some defect. So that's not true. They don't get what they want because either you can't have it, or you could have it but you have to wait a little while longer, or you have to put in more effort. It's not very confusing at all. So especially in our culture where the answers to prayers are threefold. It's yes, no, or maybe later. And in our culture, we don't believe that no is ever no. We believe it's always maybe later. So we're like going, but where's my fill in the blank? And the answer you've been given is already no. You can't have that, or this is not time for you to have that, or whatever it is. So we get frustrated with ourselves, and we get frustrated with other people and situations, and we get frustrated with the way the flow of time is in our lives. And some people get really mad at God because they're not getting what they want, or because bad stuff is happening to them or to other people. It's like, God doesn't do stuff like that. God just loves. God is the love principle. So if you love yourself, then you're going to get unconfused really fast, because what are you confused about? It's like, this is what you get. The next thing that happens is the point of practice. You're going to address the point of practice. You're going to do the best you can. There's nothing confusing about it at all. It's like, if you have more than one feeling about it, that's not confusion. Why would you not have more than one feeling about lots of stuff? Somebody dies and we feel sorrowful, and yet we also can celebrate their freedom and their liberation from this plane of existence. We can also, have very profound feelings of gratitude for their life. We can feel all kinds of ways simultaneously. We're not trapped in a feeling state, and confusion is just part of a feeling state.
I feel less confused.
That's good. I was also going to say, the teaching about that you hit on with trying to turn a no into a maybe, and that's what we call confused. But in general, also we're going about things acting like we can figure everything out. People use the word figure out. It's like the mainstay of English, as far as I know. Oh, I'm going to figure that out. Let me figure that out. So
I need to figure that out.
I need to figure that out, or you better go figure that out. Everybody's talking about figuring it out all of the time. So if you can't, quote, figure something out, you perceive yourself as confused, which again just comes back to the same kind of thing of, if you're taking this world as it comes and as a discovery and trying to respond to new information using the senses or the tools or the help at hand, you're never going to be confused. You're going to be overwhelmed with wonderment and awe and new ideas. And that's just a totally different thinking paradigm to trying to, like, if my math didn't add up about how that situation should be because I knew all of the constituent pieces. And if you're the one who's walking around convinced that you do know all the constituent pieces, and then things don't work out like your math equation did, you might call that confusion. But it's a different thing. It's trying to be in charge of things that aren't really helpful, or your business to be in charge of.
Yeah, and also, the solution to all of these ideas about how we are is just to make a prayer about it. If you say, I'm really confused about this. It's like, you can make a prayer and just say, I don't want to be confused about this anymore. So that's not figuring it out. All it's doing is allowing the information to be whatever the information is. It's like, I really wanted to be with this lady, and it's like, she doesn't want to be with me. But I have such powerful feelings toward her, and I feel like she has feelings for me. I'm confused. It's like, okay, you know what? No. Oh, now you're unconfused. You see what I'm saying? It's like the prayer clears the path. It's like a snowplow. Because really, what are you plowing up? You're plowing up a bunch of thoughts that you're having about something when you've gotten a very clear answer, no. It's like, and if you want to turn it into a maybe later, you could do that. You could just say maybe way later. Okay, that would be easier, because I know it's really hard for people to abandon the idea that they should get whatever they want. But, you get what you get.
Yeah, and then you can make choices from there, right? And that'll clear up confusion too.
Yeah,
if it's a no.
If you have the illusion that you have choices, I mean, for sure. It's like, the whole thing is predicated on the fact that we're here we're reactive beings. It's like what we're doing is we're responding. So what we have learned to do over the last, say, 20,000 years is to respond violently to things that we don't like. And then we have segued into responding with esoteric emotions like confusion and disappointment and disheartened and all these other amazing variations of, I don't like that. So, and so what we're learning to do is we're learning to respond with grace to the way the world is. It's like once you see what the world is like today in this moment, then you have the grace to respond to it the best way you can. So there is no proper way to do it. It's only like, I'm going to do the best I can. It's like that becomes more interesting than all of our, sort of lukewarm bad feelings like disheartenment and disappointment and, all that kind of dismay and all these other things. Like, and what are you going to do now? So the medicine's real fascinated by what you're going to do now. What are you going to do next? I don't know. I need help. Oh, okay, good. Boom. Then you're moving forward.
Well, I was recently really confused about something, and I was really seriously confused. Like I had a case in my mind about why I didn't know, and I wanted to know, and I wanted it to get clear, and I did make a prayer, and I made a lot of prayers, and I was very in it. Like I was completely confused, and when I became unconfused and I got the help that I was looking for, I was not surprised, but once again, what it turned out was that the reason that I was confused is because there was something very simple that I just didn't want to admit to myself. I didn't want it to be true. And, in my case, the simple things that I did not want to be true, once I was like, oh, well, if that's the only things, I can totally accept. I felt like I had to get over myself. And then I had no more hard or difficult feelings about it. And those things were really easy to get over. And it wasn't that hard. But in order to get on the other side of my confusion, I actually literally, there was a moment when I had to get over some stuff that I totally didn't want to admit was the truth. And, it was really simple stuff, but it was real for me.
So we also, like we mentioned at the beginning, we want to make sure that we use this as an opportunity to answer questions for people who didn't even think they could ask you a question, right? Some people that you meet follow up with you. They do counseling sessions. They work with you. Some people maybe email you and ask you questions, right? But now we're adding another way to get a question in there, which is to just go to the Medicine Path Native American Church Facebook page. And so we're going to pull questions from there. We'll post something the day before we shoot. And so the first question, are you ready for it? It's a good one. Yeah, you take a moment. I read it, I was like, I'm glad I'm not the one in charge of answering it, because it's, probably could take a stab, but all right. Here you go.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, probably could. All right. How does the prayer of living in the not knowing inform your marriage practice?
I don't know.
I'm confused.
I couldn't help it.
All I can say is authentically
I just
speaking.
feel stuck. I feel really stuck on this one.
It's
I don't feel stuck or confused.
Yeah.
it's everything about what makes marriage work. It's like if you think you know what is going on, you're going to have the imagined benefit of being right, which will destroy your marriage. So it's like if you understand that you don't know what's going on and that the next indicated action will reveal itself, and you're going to have a choice about whether you want to do that in a good way, meaning with a good heart and a good mind, or you want to do it in a bad way, being crabby and resentful. It's like that is going to go on 1,000 times every single day. If you have kids, 10,000 times every single day, and you're going to be on an adventure that's astonishing. But if you think you know what you're doing, you're going to cause a lot of suffering to yourself and everyone else.
What is people looking like they know what, like think they like the opposite of that? What does that look like in practice? Like if you walked into a house and you saw a bunch of people like not practicing the not knowing, like what are the behaviors or the things you might see?
I feel like it comes more than like observing, that it's more like the stuff that your friends say to you about like, oh, he like this, he's like that, and then he, and then he, and then he, and it's just like a whole bunch of descriptions about how the partner is. And I think you should look at the camera a little bit.
Oh, sorry,
more.
I was looking at the cat.
I know, and it's very
I
distracting.
almost got mauled again, so it's good. Now I'm inviting it, sorry. See if I can replicate it.
People have a lot of stories and they're running them in their heads about who the other person is and what they're like and what their shortcomings are and how you want them to be different. And if that's how you, then you've chosen that's the life that you're having. The life that you're having is rehearsing what your partner's life and how you wish they were going to be different or change. And I don't know, but I never aspired to any of that as a child. I wasn't hoping that as a grown up, what I would primarily think about in my adult life was about whether somebody that I was supposed to love and share my life with was up to par that day or not. That's like so boring and unhappy for me. That's like not the unimaginable happiness. So just by dint of not thinking that you know anything about said partner, you get to just love them and have a really good time because you're doing whatever you want, and then you see your partner and you're like, oh wow, it's you. It's the gift you can give somebody else to not think you know anything about them. Also, it's just like I mean, how else much time in our heads are we going around thinking about what somebody else is thinking about us? Oh, I know somebody thinks. That's like the really most painful thing for me, is if I think somebody thinks something about me. And, you know, if I were to evaluate like, oh, it's a good thing they think about me, then I'd still feel bored and like I was wasting my time. I don't want to think about what anybody else thinks about me, whether it's good or bad, because it's boring, and I'm in this human being body, in this skin. There's so much to learn. There's so many different feelings to have every day. There's so much I want to do and feel and learn and experience with all my senses in this world. I want to learn how to do it all and still have a really great prayer. And so talk about stuck, going on and thinking about like, oh, I wonder if I come off this way or I come off that way. It's just like, for me, so I know that I can give the gift of not thinking that much about my husband. If I think anything, if I think I know something about him, you know, I can let that go, because it will register as uncomfortable and painful for me and a waste of, you know, it's like, whoa, what was I doing that for? Because we just, you know, how it informs our marriage is that we enjoy being together as people who just love each other. Just, you know, throwing out lots of generous speech, doing kind actions, not being afraid that the other person didn't notice. Say, hey, did you notice that I did blah, blah, blah? Just completely it's just like to be safe, you know? You're so much safer not knowing, because anything you know is not true anyway. So if you want to be intimate and have all the, you know, openings occur, you have to not know. How could anybody become the next better version of themselves if you're limiting them with what you know about yourself or about them? Probably has more to do about what you're not knowing about yourself, what you could possibly not know about them. That was a mouthful.
That was good.
It's a good mouthful.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you understand what is motivating your partner or why your partner is doing stuff or what your partner is doing, then you're really condemned to having a lot of tedious feelings about your partnership. You know, what I like about mine is I actually don't think I know my wife at all. I trust that her character, for want of a better word, is beyond excellent, and that no matter what happens in our family, because a lot of stuff has happened and of course will happen in our family, you know, it's like that she will return to a grace that I feel good about. So I'm not really looking to understand her. I'm really looking to have a feeling that I want to have with her, and I get to have that feeling. And the way that that feeling works is just exactly what Georgia said. It's like, you know, by being loving, by being kind, by really accepting what you don't know, by listening to stuff that's new stuff because somebody is trying to have their own adventure and their own discovery. You know, it's really fascinating. You can learn a lot of stuff. And probably a lot of it, I mean, for me is, you know, we've been doing pipe ceremony for 20 years, which is basically once a week sitting down with 25 to 40 people, listening to people pray. And it turns out, well, everybody's prayers are pretty much the same, you know. And then when you start listening to your partner, instead of being afraid because they're so different from you, it's like, for me, I hear how we are alike, you know, irregardless of the structural differences between us, or the gender differences, or the age differences, or whatever. It's like our souls interact on some level that's really interesting to me. And if I had to parse that out by saying, well, it's because this, this, and this, it wouldn't even make any sense. It's the magic of it that makes it beautiful. And so, you know, looking for a relationship because a set of criteria are met, and you've checked them off, and you have proved conclusively that this person is this, and this, but not that, and that, is not going to make you happy. It's almost like everybody has a symphony that they want to listen to, and, you know, it's like that can be the music of your relationship. If you like the music, then what you're going to do is you're going to do what is necessary to maintain that feeling. You know, you're going to create pace, and you're going to create movement, and you're going to create a way to contain that, in a loving way, and then that produces more of it. So instead of like being mad because of what it isn't, what you're doing is you're celebrating what it is, which is this beautiful music that belongs to you two, or you three, or whatever you are.
I mean, the symphony, that's beautiful. Made you smile. Was that what you were smiling about, or you were just smiling for fun? Did you like the symphony
I
metaphor?
thought it was wonderful.
It was wonderful, right?
Yeah.
I was hoping, yeah. All right, so we have to wrap up, but there's one last thing I wanted to end the show with, because this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited to keep doing these and have other guests on. It's going to keep evolving from here. But you guys told me about something yesterday that we should just share with everyone, which is this thing called like 50s kissing.
Oh my gosh.
Do you guys feel like you want to show people, or is that too much? Or are we...
Oh no, it's good for 50s kissing. We're
Yeah.
good for it.
All right, so everybody, this is 50s kissing. We're going to end on this.
You're going to
And,
have to use a close-up.
Please support this show by sharing it, commenting, giving us feedback that you actually enjoyed it and it was fun for you, so that will give us motivation to keep doing it.
I'm not leaving from the kiss. I just think the kiss angle's
Oh,
going to show
better
up
to-
a lot better from
All right, are you ready
way.
for this? You will. This.
Okay, this is 50s kissing.
Yeah.
Ready?
This is how you do it.
Okay. And that's 50s kissing.
Did you like it?
Try it at home.